What if I told you that one of the most overlooked figures in the Bible played a critical role in saving the life of Moses and ensuring the success of his divine mission? Zipporah, Moses' first wife, is often relegated to the background of biblical stories, yet her courage and quick thinking changed the course of history. Her story is not just a tale of bravery, it's a testament to the influence of women in God's grand narrative, and a reminder that even those who appear to be in supporting roles can be central to fulfilling his plans. Zipporah's life is filled with intrigue, cultural complexity, and profound faith. As a Midianite, she brought a rich heritage into her marriage with Moses, navigating the challenges of blending two very different worlds. And in one critical moment, she took bold action to uphold God's covenant, proving her deep understanding of spiritual truths. How often do we underestimate the impact of such acts of faith and obedience? Her story challenges us to reevaluate our perspective on courage, partnership, and legacy. But why has her story remained in the shadows? Could it be that we've overlooked the significance of her role in shaping biblical history? Zipporah's journey offers not just historical insight, but also practical lessons for our own lives. Whether it's about standing firm in moments of crisis, embracing diversity, or passing down a legacy of faith, her story speaks to the timeless struggles and triumphs we all face. Through this exploration, you'll discover the untold tale of Zipporah, a woman whose bravery and wisdom shine brightly in the pages of the Bible. Together, we'll uncover how her actions demonstrate the power of faith in the face of adversity, and the profound ways God uses unexpected people to fulfill his plans. Ready to delve into the story of one of the most remarkable women in Scripture? Let's begin. Zipporah, a first wife of Moses, isn't always the first name that comes to mind when we think of the Bible's great stories. Yet her role was pivotal, particularly in one life-threatening encounter that showcased her bravery and quick thinking. Imagine being in her shoes, married to one of the greatest leaders in history, yet facing a moment where her actions alone stood between life and death. This moment wasn't just about survival, it was about faith, trust, and her deep understanding of God's covenant. This incident occurred as Moses was on his way to Egypt to fulfill God's command to free the Israelites. Out of nowhere, God sought to kill him, a shocking and intense moment recorded in the Bible. Zipporah stepped in, decisively circumcising their son, an act that saved Moses and reaffirmed the covenant with God. Her courage wasn't just about quick action, it was about recognizing the gravity of obedience to God. It's a moment that highlights how sometimes, in crises, faith and action must go hand in hand. But what does this teach us today? Courage often means stepping up in unexpected moments, even when the stakes are high. Think about your own life. Have there been moments when you had to make a tough call, relying on your instincts and faith? Maybe it was protecting someone you love, standing up for what's right, or making a decision that aligned with your values despite the risks. Zipporah's story reminds us that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. Her relationship with Moses also adds another layer to her bravery. As the daughter of Jethro, a Midianite priest, she grew up in a culture that was likely very different from Moses' upbringing in Egypt. Yet, she supported him in his divine mission, demonstrating that courage isn't always about grand gestures. Sometimes it's about standing beside someone through their journey, even when it takes you into the unknown. How often do we underestimate the courage it takes to support others fully? What's fascinating is that Zipporah's story is a reminder of how God uses unexpected people to fulfill his plans. She wasn't part of the Israelite lineage, yet her actions were crucial in Moses' journey to lead God's people. It's a powerful lesson. God doesn't require us to be perfect or from a specific background. He uses those willing to act in faith. Think about the times in your life when you felt unqualified but stepped forward anyway. What might God be calling you to do now? Zipporah's bravery also challenges stereotypes about women in the Bible. Often overlooked, her story shines as an example of how women played vital roles in shaping the history of faith. Her quick thinking saved not just Moses but the mission he was about to undertake. It's a testament to the strength, wisdom, and intuition that women bring to every situation. For anyone doubting their capacity to make an impact, her story is a clear example of how one person can change the course of history. And yet, Zipporah's courage wasn't an isolated event. It was intertwined with her understanding of God's covenant and her relationship with Moses. This moment of bravery opens the door to explore how her cultural heritage and background contributed to her strength and wisdom. After all, every act of courage is rooted in something deeper, and her story is no exception. Zipporah's story is one of cultural richness and complexity. As a Midianite, she brought her unique heritage and traditions into her marriage with Moses, creating a fascinating dynamic. Imagine the challenges of uniting two different worlds: Moses, raised in the wealth and power of Egypt, and Zipporah, deeply rooted in the traditions of a nomadic Midianite family. Yet, despite their differences, their union reflects the beauty of navigating diverse backgrounds with faith and understanding. Her Midianite heritage wasn't just a backdrop, it shaped her perspective and actions. As the daughter of Jethro, a respected priest, Zipporah grew up in a culture that valued spiritual devotion and community. This background likely influenced her ability to adapt and support Moses in his divine mission. It's a reminder that our roots and experiences, even when different from others, can enrich our relationships and add depth to our shared journeys. But cultural differences aren't always easy to navigate. Think of modern relationships where partners come from diverse traditions or belief systems. There's an ongoing need for communication, compromise, and mutual respect. Zipporah's story highlights how these challenges can be overcome when both individuals are united by a greater purpose. In her case, God's plan for Moses and the Israelites. It's an inspiring example for anyone balancing different cultural or spiritual backgrounds in their own life. One of the most striking aspects of their relationship is how it reflects the inclusivity of God's plan. Though Zipporah wasn't an Israelite, her role was instrumental in fulfilling God's covenant. This demonstrates that God's purposes transcend human boundaries like culture, nationality, or social norms. It's a call for us to embrace diversity, not as a barrier, but as an opportunity to see how God works through all people. Their marriage also shows the importance of mutual support. Zipporah wasn't just a bystander in Moses' journey. She was an active participant, stepping into moments of crisis with courage and wisdom. This level of partnership is a powerful example of how two people from different worlds can complement and strengthen each other. It makes us question, are we fully supporting those we love, even when their paths challenge our comfort zones? The cultural interplay between Moses and Zipporah also reminds us of the richness that diversity brings to faith. Their union symbolized the coming together of different traditions under one God, reflecting the universal nature of his covenant. It's a lesson in humility and openness, an invitation to learn from others' perspectives and deepen our understanding of faith through shared experiences. Ultimately, Zipporah's cultural background wasn't just a part of her identity. It was a source of strength that contributed to her role in Moses' life and mission. This interplay of cultures adds layers to her story, setting the stage for the pivotal moment where her understanding of God's covenant takes center stage. And as we move deeper into her narrative, we see how her actions reveal her profound faith and wisdom. One of the most dramatic moments in Zipporah's story comes during the circumcision event, a pivotal episode that highlights her courage and understanding of God's covenant. On their way to Egypt, an unexpected and life-threatening encounter with God left Moses in grave danger. In a moment of urgency, it was Zipporah who acted decisively, circumcising their son and saving Moses' life. This single act not only preserved her family, but also reaffirmed the importance of obedience to God's covenant. Imagine the weight of that moment. Her quick thinking changed the course of history. This event reveals Zipporah's profound spiritual insight. Although circumcision was not part of her Midianite upbringing, she understood its significance as a sign of God's covenant with his people. It's a reminder that obedience to God often requires understanding and action, even when it seems uncomfortable or challenging. How many times have we hesitated to act because we didn't fully grasp the importance of what God was calling us to do? Her story inspires us to trust and act, even when the path isn't clear. Zipporah's decision to perform the circumcision herself speaks to her strength and determination. She didn't wait for someone else to step in. She took the initiative. This moment highlights the importance of being prepared to take bold action when necessary. Think about situations in your own life where quick decisions have been crucial. Are you cultivating the wisdom and readiness needed to act in faith when the moment arises? The circumcision event also underscores the theme of interdependence in marriage. While Moses was chosen to lead the Israelites, Zipporah's actions in this critical moment demonstrate that leadership doesn't exist in isolation. Her role was vital to ensuring the success of Moses' mission. It's a powerful reminder that true partnerships rely on mutual support and shared responsibility. How can we be more present and proactive in the partnerships and relationships we value? Another key takeaway from this event is the idea that obedience to God often involves sacrifice. For Zipporah, circumcising her son wasn't just a physical act. It was a profound demonstration of her commitment to God's covenant. In our own lives, obedience may look like sacrificing time, resources, or comfort to align ourselves with God's will. What might God be asking you to let go of or take on in order to walk in obedience? This moment in Zipporah's life also highlights the balance between faith and action. While faith involves trusting in God's plan, action requires stepping out and doing what's necessary to fulfill that plan. Zipporah's actions teach us that faith without works is incomplete. It's a call to examine our own lives and ask, are we willing to back up our faith with bold, decisive action when the time comes? Ultimately, the circumcision event was a turning point, not just for Zipporah, but for Moses as well. Her understanding of God's covenant and her willingness to act ensured that Moses could continue his mission to free the Israelites. This act of obedience set the stage for one of the most pivotal chapters in biblical history, showing that even seemingly small actions can have monumental consequences. And as we explore Zipporah's legacy further, we see how her story underscores the significant role of women in shaping faith and history. Zipporah's legacy, though understated in the Bible, is undeniably significant. Her story highlights the profound impact women have had in shaping the narrative of faith and obedience. Often overshadowed by the towering figure of Moses, Zipporah's contributions remind us that even seemingly small roles can lead to monumental outcomes. Imagine how history might have unfolded differently had she not intervened during that critical moment on the journey to Egypt. Her actions weren't just acts of bravery, they were acts of faith ensuring the fulfillment of God's plan. One of the most remarkable aspects of Zipporah's legacy is how it speaks to the power of presence. She didn't need a grand title or extensive recognition to make a difference. Her story shows that being in the right place at the right time, armed with courage and faith, can leave an indelible mark. Think about your own life. How many times have you felt your contributions were small or unnoticed? Zipporah's story reminds us that even the quietest acts of faith can ripple through eternity. Her story also challenges traditional perceptions of leadership. While Moses is celebrated as the leader of the Israelites, Zipporah's role underscores the importance of partnership and support in fulfilling divine missions. Leadership, as her story shows, isn't about standing alone. It's about standing together. How often do we overlook the people who quietly support and strengthen those in the spotlight? Her legacy invites us to honor and value the unseen efforts that make great achievements possible. Zipporah's legacy extends to her family as well. As the mother of Moses' children, she played a foundational role in shaping the next generation. Her understanding of God's covenant, demonstrated in the circumcision event, ensured that her family remained aligned with divine purposes. It's a reminder of the significant influence parents have in passing down faith and values. What are we doing today to leave a legacy of faith for those who come after us? Her unique story also emphasizes the importance of diversity in God's plan. As a Midianite, Zipporah's background brought a richness and depth to her marriage with Moses. Her cultural and spiritual heritage didn't diminish her role, it enhanced it. This speaks to the inclusivity of God's kingdom, where every person's unique story and perspective contribute to the greater good. How can we embrace and celebrate diversity in our own communities, seeing it as a strength rather than a division? Another layer to her legacy is the lesson of obedience. Zipporah acted decisively when Moses faltered, showing that obedience to God isn't limited to one gender or role. Her story is a call to all of us to step up in moments of need, trusting that God can use anyone willing to act in faith. It's a powerful reminder that God's plans are not constrained by human expectations. They're propelled by willing hearts. Ultimately, Zipporah's unique legacy lies in her ability to embody courage, faith, and obedience in ways that transformed the trajectory of history. Though her mentions in the Bible are brief, the weight of her story is immense. And as we reflect on her life, we are reminded that her legacy isn't just about her actions. It's about the larger story of God's faithfulness and the role each of us plays in it. Zipporah's story reminds us that no act of faith, no matter how small it seems, is insignificant in God's plan. Her courage and quick thinking not only saved Moses' life, but also ensured the continuation of a mission that would change the course of history. How often do we underestimate the power of our own actions? Her life challenges us to step boldly into the roles God has placed before us, trusting that He equips those He calls. Now take a moment to reflect. What's your Zipporah moment? Is there a situation in your life calling for bravery, quick action, or unwavering faith? Maybe it's in your family, your community, or your spiritual journey. Whatever it is, Zipporah's story encourages us to act, knowing that even when recognition doesn't come immediately, the impact of our choices echoes far beyond what we can see. This isn't just a history lesson, it's a call to action. Are you supporting those around you in their God-given missions? Are you building a legacy of faith for future generations? Are you ready to embrace diversity and see how God can work through people of all backgrounds to fulfill His purposes? These are questions that demand not just reflection but action. If this story inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this message with someone who needs encouragement. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you don't miss more stories of faith and inspiration. Leave a like and join the conversation in the comments. And while you're here, check out the videos on your screen right now. There's always more to learn and grow in your faith. Let Zipporah's story be a reminder that God works through those who are willing to act with faith and courage. So, what step will you take today to align with His purpose for your life? Until next time, may you walk in His light and embrace the legacy He's calling you to create.